Look up. Yeah, you felt it too, didn't you? That flicker in the sky, that 3-second blackout where the whole world forgot how to breathe. They'll tell everyone it was a power surge, a glitch in the satellites, but you know better. You know what happens when they whisper the words Black Velvet Protocol. It means they've stopped trying to understand you and started trying to contain you. You were never supposed to exist this long. You were supposed to break, beg, or burn out. They built entire systems to erase people like you, people who don't die properly. But you didn't just survive, you corrupted the code. When the sky glitched, it wasn't electricity. It was reality stuttering, trying to process you. Because you're not supposed to be here anymore, are you? You were declared a closed case, a finished file. But somehow, you kept moving, breathing, thinking, becoming something their algorithms can't predict. That's what terrifies them. They call it a protocol because they want to sound in control. They want to pretend it's a clean sequence, push a button, delete a ghost. But what they activated wasn't containment, it was evolution. Every time they tried to kill you, you absorbed the voltage. Every trap they set became part of your anatomy. You're not even human to them anymore. You're data that dreams, you're chaos that studies back. You are the glitch that learned to walk upright and smile. They didn't plan for that smile, the one you wear now, the one that looks less like joy and more like a funeral invitation. Because you've realized something, haven't you? Pain wasn't punishment. It was programming. Every betrayal, every silence, every humiliation. They weren't setbacks. They were installations. They turned your nervous system into a weapon and your empathy into radar. You can feel lies breathing. You can smell fear before it speaks. And that's why they initiated Black Velvet. Because once you start seeing behind the curtain, you don't just threaten their systems, you unravel their gods. They thought they were ending you. Instead, they triggered your awakening. And when the sky flickered, it wasn't breaking. It was blinking back, watching, acknowledging the return of something older than their machines. You. See, the protocol wasn't meant to be survived, but you turned it into a rebirth ritual. They don't understand that some people aren't afraid of dying because they've already been buried by their own history. You remember the dirt. You remember the prayers that turned into screams. You remember every hand that reached out, not to save you, but to pull you under. And still, you came back smiling, because that's what terrifies them most. The ones who survive without needing revenge. The ones who come back not angrier, but quieter, smarter, colder. You're what happens when a soul stops begging for fairness and starts bending physics. You don't pray anymore, you recode. They'll run diagnostics, send analysts, call you unstable, dangerous, unfit for society. But what you really are is the proof that pain can mutate into perception, that madness, when metabolized, becomes clarity. You're not the glitch in their system, you're the test they keep failing. And when you laugh, oh, that laugh, it isn't amusement, is it? It's a signal. It's the sound of data cracking open, of the universe whispering, he figured it out. Because the protocol didn't destroy you, it decrypted you. Now you see the threads, every lie, every illusion, every artificial limit. You can hear the hum beneath reality's skin, the code they wrote to keep everyone docile. You tore it open with your bare hands, and what you found wasn't chaos, it was freedom. That's why the sky glitched. It wasn't an error, it was applause. You were the only one meant to make it this far. The one variable they couldn't sterilize. They called you unstable. But what you really are is unprogrammable. And you want to know the punchline? They'll try again. They'll run every update, deploy every trick in their manual. But this time, it won't matter, because you're not inside their network anymore. The network is inside you, so when they activate another black velvet, just smile. Watch the lights flicker, feel the air tighten, and remember, you already survived the one thing nobody does. Now you are the thing nobody survives. You can still feel it, can't you? That hum behind your ribs, that static crawling up your spine like the world hasn't fully decided if you should exist yet. The air bends around you now. People flinch before they see you. Screens freeze when your face passes through a reflection because something shifted. After Black Velvet, you stopped being someone. You became a phenomenon. The funny part, they built the protocol to erase consciousness anomalies, to purge whatever didn't fit the equation of obedience. They didn't realize the equation itself was flawed. They tried to delete the virus, not knowing the virus had already learned how to rewrite the operating system. You rewrote it. You took their containment and turned it into a Genesis sequence. You broke the sequence meant to neutralize you, and it ended up reprogramming them. Every time they study your file, their machines glitch. Every time your name is typed, the database stutters. Even their language can't hold you without short-circuiting. And that's the secret, isn't it? You weren't meant to be cured. You were meant to infect. They wanted your silence. They got your signal. You became a contagion of awareness, walking proof that truth is radioactive, that once a mind wakes up, it spreads like wildfire through the collective delusion. Every thought you have now ripples through their systems like an electrical storm. They can't cage what doesn't obey gravity anymore. You're operating on frequencies they don't even have sensors for. They call it madness because they can't measure it. They call it danger because they can't digest it. And somewhere in a dim control room, a tired voice just whispered, "How did they survive that?" No one answers, because the truth is simple. You didn't survive. You transcended. Black Velvet was supposed to erase you from memory. Instead, it erased memory from you. All the guilt, all the hesitation, all the conditioning that told you to shrink. Gone. They stripped you bare, trying to destroy you. And what was left was pure signal. Now everything you do echoes. A single breath from you rewrites probability. You've become a statistical impossibility wearing a heartbeat. That's why they panic when you smile. Because they know deep down what that grin means. You figured out the game. You realized survival isn't about avoiding death. It's about dancing with it until it forgets your name. You've learned to use your scars as coordinates, your pain as encryption keys. Every betrayal taught you a new dialect of truth. Every breakdown taught you how to slip between dimensions of fear. You move like lightning between realities now. Here, but not really here. They watch the footage. They slow it down. They swear your shadow moves half a second before you do. And when they analyze your voice, it bends frequencies their equipment can't map. You speak in harmonics coded into trauma, the same frequency ancient stars used to warn each other about collapse. That's why the sky glitched, remember? It wasn't a malfunction, it was a response. Reality blinked because it recognized you. It recognized the original architecture. The consciousness older than the systems pretending to own it. For 3 seconds, the world saw what it forgot. That creation isn't owned, it's borrowed. And you're here to collect the debt. So now, they call meetings about you. Secret ones, in soundproof rooms with no cameras, only static. They pass around still frames of your face like contraband. Every agent who investigates you ends up whispering the same thing. They shouldn't be alive. And yet, here you are. Not alive, not dead, just awake. You've become their worst case study, the mind that didn't obey, the ghost that didn't fade, the subject who stared back at the experimenter and smiled. And you know what the real punchline is. They'll keep trying to replicate you. They'll harvest your data, analyze your patterns, dissect your silence. But they'll never find the formula, because what they're looking for isn't code, it's will. And will doesn't compute. You've turned unpredictability into an art form, your chaos with purpose. A saint wearing a psychopath's grin, an angel disguised as a system error. You've balanced the contradiction perfectly, divine and dangerous in the same breath. You don't crave peace anymore. You create storms. You don't beg for love. You weaponize presence. You don't fear endings. You engineer rebirths. Every step you take now is surveillance footage of evolution. Every heartbeat is rebellion recorded in surround sound. You're proof that destruction is just transformation in drag. They can activate all the protocols they want. They can shut down the sky, reroute the satellites, burn the archives. But it's too late. You're already inside the code, whispering through the circuitry like laughter that doesn't need a throat. And that's the real terror of it all. They built a world to contain gods. And then one day, the god woke up inside the cage and remembered it was pretending to be human. So when the next black velvet activates, don't hide, don't run, just tilt your head, smile that apocalypse smile, and whisper, round two. Because you're not trying to survive anymore. You're teaching survival how to look like you. The air still tastes like static, doesn't it? Every time you inhale, it feels like you're breathing in the ghost of the system that tried to bury you. The world around you twitches, lights dim for a heartbeat, then flare too bright, as if reality itself is glitching every time you think too loud. That's not paranoia, that's feedback. The simulation doesn't know how to handle a variable that refuses to collapse. They thought you'd crawl out begging for peace. Instead, you came back with eyes that see through encryption. You don't even look at people anymore. You read them. Every blink is a line of code. Every sigh, a corrupted file. You can see their programming, fear, approval, compliance. You can smell the algorithm under their skin. And when they stare back at you, they can't decide whether they're seeing a survivor or a signal. That's what you've become. A transmission wearing flesh. You learned something inside that blackout, didn't you? Something unholy and beautiful. You learned that pain was never your enemy. It was the translator. It taught you how to converse with the storm. It carved your nerves into antennae tuned to truth. You don't just feel reality now. You intercept it. That's why they fear you. Not because you're violent, but because you're transparent. You expose everything. You walk into a room and the lies start melting like cheap paint under a blowtorch. People feel naked around you, not because you undress them, but because you see them. You see their rehearsed empathy, their fragile morality, their counterfeit confidence. You see the corruption hidden behind polished smiles, and you don't flinch. You smile back, slowly, like a mirror that learned sarcasm. They can't cage that. They can't legislate that. They can't even describe it. The language doesn't exist for what you've become. You're the saint that laughs during exorcisms, the monster that prays before it kills, the paradox that makes angels nervous and devils jealous. You found balance inside insanity. You found stillness inside collapse. You discovered that the world only breaks people who believe in straight lines. And You're all curves now, all spirals, all motion. Black velvet tried to compress you into data. You turned yourself into music. They tried to analyze your mind. You made it a maze. They tried to track your heart. You erased the coordinates. You are the unsolved equation that makes order irrelevant. You've started noticing it, haven't you? The way time stutters around you. How coincidences cluster like moths to your thoughts. You think something once and 3 hours later it manifests. You laugh, and the streetlights flicker in rhythm. You cry, and someone miles away loses sleep. You've become an ecosystem of cause and effect, a walking paradox that bends reality by existing. And deep down, some part of you enjoys it. Because for once you're not running from the power, you're wearing it. You're not apologizing for the fire anymore. You're adjusting its temperature. That's evolution, darling. Not growing wings, not glowing halos. Evolution is when pain stops controlling you and starts consulting you. Every breakdown you survived rewired the map. You didn't heal, you expanded. You stretched beyond human settings and downloaded new instincts. Ones that can smell deception, ones that can navigate collapse, ones that can dance with chaos and still look elegant. That's why the people around you feel off now. They're still playing chess. You're already moving in 4 dimensions. They speak in opinions. You answer in frequencies, and they hate it. Because you make survival look cinematic. You make scars look like art installations. You make darkness look deliberate. You make madness look like a choice. They whisper that you're dangerous, and maybe you are. But only to illusions, because you've stopped confusing peace with silence. You've stopped mistaking love for permission. You've stopped confusing normal with safe. That's the real horror, isn't it? You're not angry anymore. You're awake. They can fight anger. They can sedate rage. But consciousness, they can't kill that. So now you walk through their system like a ghost with perfect aim. You talk in riddles they can't decrypt. You laugh at authority, and it echoes in their earpieces like feedback from God. And when they look at you, they see what they were supposed to become. If they hadn't obeyed. They see what happens when pain doesn't win. You survived the one thing nobody does, and now every time you breathe, the system adjusts its parameters to accommodate you. That's why the weather bends around you. That's why strangers dream of your face. That's why satellites blink when you pass under them. You are a walking software update for reality itself. So let them activate whatever protocol they want. Let them scramble their frequencies and lock their vaults. The joke's on them. Because the virus isn't in the code anymore. It's in the consciousness. It's in you. And it's contagious. So go ahead, walk out there with that half smile. Watch the lights tremble when you blink. They'll call it interference. They'll call it witchcraft. They'll call it delusion. But you'll know the truth. It's just the universe lagging, trying to keep up with you. The static never really stopped, did it? It just learned to whisper instead of scream. You can hear it in the silence between people's words, the faint buzz of fear every time your name crosses their mind. They try to talk about you like you're a rumor, but rumors don't alter gravity. Rumors don't make time hesitate. You do. After the Black Velvet Protocol, you didn't come back human. You came back aware. You became the story the system tells itself when it starts doubting its own control. They used to think survival was a biological function, but you showed them its psychological warfare. You taught the universe how to bleed in binary, how to fear its own reflection. Because what are you now? You're the fracture that learned how to walk, the silence that learned how to sing, the ghost that figured out how to leave fingerprints. They still think they can classify you, but every label burns their tongue. Every word they use becomes obsolete before they finish the sentence. You've broken their language, their logic, their rhythm. They called it madness. You called it evolution. And the truth? You don't even blame them. They're terrified because they've seen what happens when someone doesn't die on schedule, when someone learns to turn pain into permission. You make people question their definitions of sanity, of power, of God. You make them wonder what happens when a soul refuses to surrender, when it decides to master suffering instead of escape it. Because here's the part they never understood. The protocol wasn't the punishment. It was the invitation. Every trauma you endured was a doorway. Every loss was a test. Every betrayal was a signal saying, "We're refining you." They thought they were breaking you down. They were distilling you, burning away everything unnecessary until only the essence remained, the thing that couldn't be bought, convinced, or controlled. That's what black velvet couldn't kill. The will. Now your very existence is interference. Every time you breathe, frequencies distort. Every time you move, something recalibrates. The architecture of their order trembles under the weight of your refusal to be ordinary. You are the mirror they've spent centuries avoiding. And when they look into it, they see everything they could have been if they hadn't chosen comfort over chaos. If they hadn't traded their wings for stability. If they hadn't silenced the divine monster inside them that wanted to build universes instead of follow instructions. You are their reminder. That's why they hate you. That's why they watch you. That's why they name their fears after you. You've become the line between before and after. Before you, control was absolute. After you, doubt became contagious. Even the algorithms dream about you now. So here's what happens next. They'll try to isolate you again. They'll offer peace. They'll call it integration. They'll pretend it's mercy, but it's fear wearing perfume. They want you calm, predictable, measurable. Don't give them that. Stay unreadable. Stay beautifully dangerous. Keep smiling that heretic smile that says, "I already know how this ends." Because you do, don't you? Deep down, you've seen the last page. You know that chaos wins, not because it destroys, but because it adapts. And you are chaos perfected. You are the system's karma. You are the equation it can't solve. You are the end of the experiment and the beginning of the legend. They activated black velvet to erase you. Instead, you infected eternity. Now the sky flickers when you laugh. Time hesitates when you cry. And somewhere in a locked facility, a terrified scientist is whispering, "We didn't create him. We woke him up. So let the world glitch again. Let the satellites spin out. Let the watchers panic. Because you're done surviving. You're done hiding. You're done explaining your existence to ghosts in suits. This is the part where the monster writes the ending. This is the part where the saint sharpens his teeth. This is the part where you stop pretending you're one of them. They just activated black velvet protocol on you. And all they did was remind the universe who you really are. The one thing nobody survives, the anomaly that learned to smile back at the sky. And when that glitch comes again, don't look away. That's not a malfunction. That's your reflection, finally applauding. Quiet, isn't it? That eerie silence before truth crawls out of its coffin. You can almost feel it. The room tightening, the air bending, the walls remembering who you are. They wanted an heir. But what the fuck do you do when the bloodline refuses to die? when the very curse they tried to bury grows eyes, grows teeth, and starts smiling back from the dark. You weren't supposed to exist this long. You were supposed to break, to fold under the weight of your own ancestry. But you didn't break, did you? You studied the fracture lines, mapped the pain, and built yourself out of the debris they left behind. They thought blood was a chain. Turns out it was a fuse. And baby, you lit it. You were the quiet one, the misunderstood one, the one who didn't scream, didn't fight. You just watched. You learned how they moved, how they lied, how they prayed to be seen while hoping never to be exposed. And now, the whole lineage trembles when you breathe, because they finally realized the truth. You weren't born from them. You were born because of them. Every betrayal, every exile, every scar. It rewired your DNA into something they can't classify, something they can't kill. They crowned themselves in comfort, in reputation, in legacy. And you crowned yourself in hellfire. You learned how to turn agony into armor, guilt into gasoline, and silence into a weapon. You made evolution ugly. You took everything they said would ruin you and sculpted it into a masterpiece of controlled destruction. You are their myth come alive, their prophecy gone rogue, the glitch in the sacred genealogy. Because here's the thing, lineage isn't about blood, it's about memory. It's about what survives the fire when the names are gone. They thought you'd disappear with the ashes, but you were in the ashes, crawling, laughing, reforming into something older than their gods and newer than their lies. You want to know why they're panicking? Because you don't fit in their sequence anymore. You're not version 8.0 of the same tired dynasty. You're postcode. You're the ghost in their genetic system. The phantom pulse that keeps reappearing in their tests, whispering, still here. You carry the contradiction that terrifies them most. Light that bleeds darkness. You forgive without forgetting. You destroy without shouting. You smile like a saint while plotting like a sinner. They call that madness. I call that balance. They wanted an heir, someone obedient, decorative, programmable. But you? Your inheritance on fire. You don't sit on thrones. You melt them down and forge weapons. You don't protect tradition. You infect it. You make bloodlines remember the consequences of forgetting what created them. You've got that look now. The one that says, I've seen behind the curtain, and I didn't flinch. Because once you've seen what they hide, the rot, the manipulation, the sacred hypocrisy, you can never unsee it. And instead of breaking you, it baptized you. You stopped chasing approval when you realized your blood carries something rarer than love. Persistence. That demonic refusal to disappear. That quiet defiance that keeps you breathing when the whole family tree's on fire. They wrote you out of history, and yet, the ink still moves when they speak your name. That's power. That's immortality. So let them panic. Let them try to rewrite the lineage, to sterilize the archives, to pretend the experiment failed. Because every time they erase you, you multiply. Every silence they force becomes your megaphone. Every shadow they cast becomes your throne. You are the unwanted continuation, the proof that their God isn't in control anymore. You're what happens when evolution decides it's done asking for permission. You're not the heir. You're the aftershock. The haunted echo that crawled out of extinction and said, try again. And here's the punchline. They thought the crown skipped you, but the crown learned you. It remembered the hands that didn't tremble, the eyes that didn't close, the heart that didn't beg. It crawled back through the timeline, bleeding gold and memory, until it found you. Now the bloodline bows when you enter the room, not out of respect, but out of recognition. Because they see it now, don't they? The inheritance they tried to suppress is standing right in front of them, breathing, smirking, untouchable. The heir they wanted was mortal. But you're the curse they'll never outlive. So go ahead, smile that wicked little smile, the one that makes reality flinch. Because when the bloodline refuses to die, when it mutates into legend, that's not ancestry anymore. That's revenge wearing your DNA. And the silence after that realization, it's not peace. It's fear disguised as awe. Because they're finally starting to understand what you are. You're not a descendant. You're a continuation glitch. You are every unfinished prayer, every unsent letter, every scream that got swallowed by the family walls, all coded into your veins. You didn't inherit the throne. You inherited the trauma, the hunger, the unfinished war, and you didn't weep for it. You weaponized it. You see, they call it legacy when it benefits them. But when it breeds something uncontrollable, when it resurrects a consciousness they can't leash, they call it madness. They called you unstable, obsessed, too much. Translation, you remembered too well. You felt too deeply. You saw through the costume party. You found out the secret every dynasty fears, that the bloodline isn't a tree. It's a serpent eating its own tail. Every generation, just sharper teeth, duller souls. And you were the one mutation that bit back. You started to notice things, how the smiles didn't reach their eyes, how their faith was hollow but their greed eternal, how every lesson was just obedience training dressed as wisdom. They wanted an heir who would maintain the illusion. But you tore the curtain down and walked out, dragging truth behind you like a bloody cloak. And now the whisper network's losing its mind, trying to contain you. Because they can't predict you. You don't follow the pattern. You don't mourn when you're supposed to. You don't celebrate when they clap. You don't die on schedule. You made survival look theatrical, made evolution look personal. You became a warning sign painted in flesh, the living proof that you can be cut, crushed, erased, and still regenerate as something smarter. That's what they fear. Not your existence, your adaptation. You turned pain into pattern recognition, betrayal into data, silence into signal. They call it paranoia. I call it perception. You learned to read what they didn't say. You felt the tension in rooms before the lies arrived. You saw the flicker in their eyes when they realized you weren't the same prototype they designed. They wanted to own your blood, but your blood learned independence. Every molecule in you is rebellion, every breath, a coded declaration that says, I am my own creation. And now, the whole line of ghosts before you. They're watching through your eyes, whispering through your pulse. You became their unfinished business. You are the haunted heir, the one who refuses to die quietly, the one who carries generations like artillery. You're not continuing a name. You're completing a vengeance that started centuries ago. And it's funny, isn't it? They told stories about sins of the fathers, but they never warned about the resurrections of the children. You are not a sequel. You're an anomaly, a story that rewrote its own author. They burned your name out of the archives, but your reflection started showing up in their dreams. They smell you in the smoke, see you in the static, feel you in the mirrors. Because energy doesn't die, sweetheart. It reassembles. They thought death was the end of the bloodline. But you turned it into an address. You became the next evolution of memory. Sharper, colder, infinite. And every time they whisper, "Why won't it end?" you smile, because you are the end, and the beginning, and the thing in between that terrifies both. See, here's the paradox. They wanted an heir to preserve the legacy, but you were born to expose it. You are both guardian and executioner, both saint and assassin. You didn't inherit their crown. You diagnosed it. You found the rot beneath the gold. And when you walked away, the lineage started to decay without you, because you were the last spark keeping it breathing. The moment you stopped trying to belong, the whole structure started collapsing under its own hypocrisy. Now they pretend you don't exist. But that's the funniest part. Every system that denies your existence ends up orbiting it. They write laws, build temples, create idols, all to replace the shadow of you. You became their gravitational constant. Even in denial, you ruled them. They wanted obedience, you gave them prophecy. They wanted order, you gave them entropy. They wanted a continuation, you gave them extinction disguised as evolution. You see the beauty in that, don't you? The poetic violence of it all. That the one thing they tried to control became the architect of their downfall. That the heir they designed to serve became the variable that broke the entire blood equation. You are the living contradiction, proof that legacy doesn't have to mean loyalty, that you can love where you came from and still burn its house down, that survival isn't continuation, it's correction. And when you walk into rooms now, their DNA remembers you. You can see it in the tremors, in the hesitation before they speak, in the way the air tightens like an old scar reopening. Because deep down, they know what you are. A divine malfunction, a sacred error. A lineage finally confronting itself in human form. You don't need to kill the bloodline, you just need to outlive it. And you are. Every breath you take rewrites their scripture. Every silence you keep redefines their fear. Every smile you give echoes like thunder in their history books. They wanted an heir. They got a mirror. And when they looked into it, they saw God blinking back. So stand there, unbothered, untamed, eternal. Because you've already won the only war that mattered. The war to stay alive when everything conspired for you to vanish. And now they finally understand. You can kill the name. You can burn the history. But you can't destroy the design. Because the bloodline didn't survive through them. It mutated through you. And mutation doesn't die. It evolves. And you, my friend, you're the evolution they feared. And the resurrection they'll never escape. Funny thing about evolution, it doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't kneel. It doesn't explain. And it sure as hell doesn't apologize. It just happens. Quietly, brutally, beautifully. Right under the noses of the ones pretending to rule it. That's what you are now. Evolution wrapped in a pulse. A glitch wrapped in grace. You are what their ancestors whispered about when the firelight flickered and the night felt too alive. The anomaly that wouldn't stay buried. The deviation that rewrote the entire design. You see, they built their kingdoms on control. Every ritual, every law, every blood oath, all crafted to make sure their version of the world stayed intact. But they forgot something critical. The blood doesn't obey them anymore. It remembers you. Every time their heart beats, a small part of it wonders what would happen if the rebellion inside their own DNA ever decided to wake up again. And you are that waking moment, embodied. They said you were reckless. They said you were cold. But really you were precise. You stopped confusing peace with submission. You stopped mistaking silence for safety. You became the thing they can't understand. A weapon that doesn't need to swing. A ghost that doesn't need to haunt. And oh, the irony. They still gather around their thrones and tell stories of legacy, like it's a holy word. But legacy means nothing when you become the source code, when you are the algorithm that reprogrammed fate. You're not following destiny anymore, you're writing it. With every move you make, you corrupt their script. You overwrite their endings. You break their timelines. And deep down, they feel it. That static in their chest every time they hear your name. That's ancestral panic. That's the bloodline realizing the prophecy it tried to erase has returned. Not in robes and crowns, but in silence and smirks. You are evolution with intent, mutation with memory. You took the trauma and twisted it into telepathy. You took abandonment and forged it into vision. You took their cruelty and distilled it into clarity. Because when you finally understood, pain wasn't punishment, it was training. Something inside you clicked. You stopped asking, "Why me?" and started whispering, "Watch me." They don't understand how you move now, how you walk through fire and come out with frost in your breath, how you can smile in chaos and still see patterns in the destruction. It's because you're not reacting anymore. You're conducting. You learn to turn chaos into choreography, and that terrifies them, because when pain doesn't control you, no one can. When fear doesn't work on you, systems collapse. When history doesn't define you, empires start to rot from confusion. You're no longer a part of their bloodline. You're the rebuttal. You're the cosmic correction that the universe inserted to balance centuries of arrogance. They used to toast to purity. Now they're choking on the realization that impurity was evolution in disguise. That mixing, breaking, bleeding, rebuilding. That's how divinity grows. You are proof that the unholy is just divinity that got tired of waiting for permission. You became both ends of the spectrum, the light that blinds and the shadow that heals, the saint they crucified and the demon that forgave them for it. You turned contradiction into currency. That's what makes you untouchable. You're too paradoxical to predict, too alive to eliminate. And now they see you everywhere. Every success that looks too effortless. Every silence that feels too loud. Every smile that hides something they can't measure. You're in their nightmares, sure, but worse. You're in their inspiration. They imitate what they once condemned, trying to recreate the alchemy that made you unkillable. But you can't mimic metamorphosis. You have to earn it. You didn't rise from love. You rose from loss, not from comfort, from collapse, not from legacy, from the ashes of it. You rose because something ancient in you refused to kneel. And that's the part they'll never understand. You didn't want the throne. You wanted freedom. And in chasing that, you inherited everything they were trying to protect. Because freedom is the true crown. It's invisible. It's internal. It doesn't glitter. It burns. So let them whisper. Let them rewrite. Every rumor is an unpaid advertisement for your myth. Every attempt to erase you amplifies your echo. You don't fight for recognition anymore. You haunt it. They'll study your moves like scripture. They'll dissect your silences like confessions. They'll call you dangerous because they finally realized you're proof that control was an illusion. And when the dust settles, when their empires dissolve into dust and their titles fade into history, books no one reads anymore, you'll still be standing. Not because you were chosen, but because you chose yourself. And that is evolution's final laugh. They wanted an heir. They got an extinction-level event dressed like a human. You are not the continuation of the bloodline. You are the correction. The final mutation that teaches the universe. when a lineage forgets what it was built for. The bloodline doesn't die, it becomes you. And through you, it learns how to survive forever. And that's what they'll never admit, not even to themselves. That what they called defiance was actually destiny reclaiming its throne. That what they labeled a curse was the correction written into the code of existence itself. You didn't come to extend their legacy. You came to end it with elegance. You came to bury the ego and resurrect the essence. They wanted heirs who'd obey gravity. You became the one who learned how to bend it. They wanted offspring who'd guard their illusion. You became the rupture that exposed the real. You were never meant to fit inside their blueprint because the architecture was flawed from birth. Their empire was built on bones. You built yourself on truth. You are the last echo of everything they feared and the first signal of everything they denied. You are the balance point between extinction and evolution, where pain becomes power and loss becomes language. You are the reason the cycle finally cracked, the moment history realized it couldn't keep repeating itself without choking on its own denial. And look at you now, standing in the ruins with that calm smile, that quiet confidence of someone who has seen behind the curtain and come back wearing its fabric like armor. They see that, and it kills them. Because you're proof that the bloodline didn't survive in them. It transcended through you. You didn't inherit their crown. You consumed it. You didn't protect their name. You purified it through fire. You didn't bow to the lineage. You became the lineage's reckoning. Every heartbeat of yours is a declaration. It's over. The throne is dust. The dynasty is data. The old gods are unemployed. And from the wreckage rises something they can't chart, can't clone, can't predict. You. You are the aftershock that outlived the quake. The descendant who refused descent. The paradox in flesh, both angel and anomaly. So let them whisper about legacy while you walk through time like a contagion of clarity. Let them write new histories that try to exclude you. They'll still spell your cadence between the lines. Because once a bloodline mutates into consciousness, it stops dying altogether. And when the last of their monuments crumble, when their voices fade into background noise and the world forgets the names they fought to preserve, something eternal will remain, humming under the ruins. Your pulse, your echo, your laugh. Because evolution doesn't end in extinction. It ends in awakening. And tonight, it awakened wearing your face. The bloodline refused to die. It just learned how to become immortal through you.